After coming off a huge Week 2 win at Cincinnati and down 4 starters, a game that could mean so much when we're talking winter football, the Ravens are keeping Week 3 about just that, Week 3 against the Colts. Indianapolis has a new coaching staff, a rookie quarterback and concussion protocol, and it's a team that isn't projected to do anything as close on the Ravens level this season. But for the Ravens, that only drills in their focus more for Sunday to avoid any letdown situation.
Guys in our locker room, they pretty much know it's a business. Anytime we're out on the field, and we don't take any opponent light. This is an NFL, and every team's good.
Anytime you want to accomplish a goal as a team, you can't get complacent, and that was just really the message. Just be your biggest critic. Don't get complacent. The things that you're good at, be great at. The things that you need to work on, improve on, and just strive for excellence.
This Sunday could be more of the same for the Ravens when talking injuries. 8 players were not on the practice field today, their first for the Colts. And as the Ravens say next man up, no one knows that more than reserve safety Geno Stone, who's been starting for the injured Marcus Williams.
I've been there where I didn't get the reps at all during the week, and I get thrown in. These guys still got prepared. That's really all mental reps, though, at that point. But getting the reps, being physical throughout the week, it helps a lot, because then at that point, once you see that once, you're going to get it in the game.
Of those 8 players not practicing for the Ravens today, 2 of those are new additions. Pass rusher Jadeveon Clowney was out with an illness, and running back Justice Hill with a foot injury, which makes sense now why the Ravens brought in veteran running back Kenyon Drake to the practice squad. He spent 12 games with the Ravens last season. In Owings Mills, I'm Morgan Atzett for Sports Unlimited.
Well, after some gorgeous weather last weekend, you're probably going to want to keep the boat inshore and at the dock this weekend. We've got gale watches out for the Chesapeake Bay all the way into the weekend. Saturday looked like a mess. At least a lot of computer models are saying some good wind, 20, maybe gusts up to 30 knots, waves up to 2 feet. And temperature is going to be only in the 60s. Some heavy rain possible, even some coastal flooding. This is a potential kind of nor'easter type system, could be moving our way Saturday night into Sunday morning, looking like the worst of that weather. We're tracking it hour by hour coming up next half hour.
Thank you, Jonathan. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6, we have an update on spying allegations against Harford County Executive Bob Casserly, the latest twist in an alleged wiretapping case. U.S. Attorney Merrick Garland facing tough questions from lawmakers on Capitol Hill, why Republicans are asking whether he's running a 2-tiered justice system.
As juvenile crime continues to rise in Baltimore, Fox 45 is holding your elected leaders accountable. We question the mayor on what he thinks the solution is. Following an hours-long hearing last week on juvenile crime, we're taking a closer look at the lack of action from lawmakers in Annapolis. And an update surrounding wiretapping allegations against the Harford County executive, why one county prosecutor is no longer filing a lawsuit.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Well, Fox 45 News is continuing our coverage on the juvenile crime crisis, including criticism that lawmakers aren't doing enough. There are growing calls for change coming from prosecutors, police, and parents. Baltimore is one of the cities hit hardest by the surge in youth crime. Tonight, we're pressing the mayor for answers on what exactly he thinks needs to change. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you so much for staying with us. As state lawmakers continue to put off addressing the juvenile crime crisis until January, we are pressing city leaders for some answers. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has the latest after questioning Mayor Scott about what he wants from leaders in Annapolis.
Mayor Scott says the entire juvenile justice system needs to be rebuilt top to bottom, and we pressed him multiple times on specifically what that means.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here today.
Immediate availability for Mayor Brendan Scott, giving us a brief chance to question the leader of Baltimore City on what he's asking lawmakers to do to help curb the surge of violent crime among juveniles, especially as kids are driving the car theft numbers through the roof in the city. What specifically are you looking for to the Baltimore City delegation or other lawmakers in Annapolis to make changes when session starts?
I'll say what I said before anybody else was talking about this issue, right? Long before folks in the media were thinking that the state had anything to do with public safety in Baltimore. I said that we need a completely new system built from the ground up. The old system that we had didn't work. The systems that we have now clearly need work. Every single aspect of it from the top to the bottom must be looked at.
Mayor Scott touching on the need for a more robust home monitoring system, which has been an issue. In April, a 12-year-old Jalen Richards was gunned down in South Baltimore.
He was on house arrest due to the streets that somebody destroyed my nephew to these streets. They still was dragging my baby to the streets because he was a minor.
And most recently, at least 2 people arrested in connection to the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting already wearing an ankle monitor, including 18-year-old Tristan Jackson, who was under the supervision after police say he brought a loaded handgun to Merville High School earlier this year when he was 17. Even after multiple attempts to get more details. But specifically, what are you looking for?
All of it. I'm looking for us to look at every single aspect of how we deal with young people when they are caught in the justice system. All of it has to be looking at every single aspect.
Does that mean you want to see those 2 laws repealed?
That means I want us to look at every single aspect of it, top to bottom, to build a system that works.
That's your next question, Mackenzie.
The mayor avoiding answering specifically what he's calling to change. Those 2 laws in question, the Juvenile Justice Reform Act and Juvenile Interrogation Act. The Reform Act prevents kids 13 and younger from facing certain nonviolent misdemeanors, and the Interrogation Act limits when police can question a minor without getting permission from a parent or an attorney. And the law is at the center of the debate as the conversation swirls about how to hold young kids accountable for their crimes. Police and prosecutors from Maryland argue the laws hinder the justice ability, while juvenile crime numbers continue to climb. And while the mayor talks about revisiting the home monitoring situation, it's unclear what other aspects or areas of the juvenile justice system the mayor wants lawmakers to really tackle when session begins in January. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
And now to the latest incident of juvenile crime in our city, and this one was caught on camera. The manager of a West Baltimore gas station showing Fox 45 News this surveillance video from over the weekend that captures back-to-back burglaries, the first happening Saturday morning. Video shows a group of teens grabbing drinks and food, then darting out and jumping into what police have confirmed was a stolen car. Then on Sunday morning, some of those same teens doing another smash and grab at the store. They struck again later that day, raiding shelves and even destroying the front door. The owner says it seems like the group does it for fun.
Happen almost every day. I think I don't want to be here anymore, you know. Stealing, plus they want to fight, you know. Man, he hit him in his mouth. He say he has a lot of pain in his face. It was a lot of damage. They do it for fun, actually.
Well, Baltimore police say they're investigating the incidents, but so far no arrests have been made. Well, these incidents and the youth crime crisis are not just a Baltimore issue. A dozen top prosecutors across Maryland are calling for changes to the juvenile justice system. Those prosecutors represent about 5 million people. That's nearly 82% of Maryland's population.
If we don't do something to hold these young people accountable, they will continue to run and almost have lawlessness in our cities. And we can't have that.
To our young people, you are not outsmarting the police. You are not outmaneuvering prosecutors. You will not scare your peers into silence.
Well, despite the calls for change, lawmakers in Annapolis have been slow to act when it comes to Maryland's juvenile justice policies. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker continues our coverage with a lack of action in Annapolis.
Calls for change are coming from police, prosecutors, and parents across the state begging for action on the juvenile crime crisis.
This legislation has put our children at risk, our communities at risk, and the entire state at risk of extreme chronic violence.
They see no reason to stop committing crimes because we are giving them no reason not to.
But those pleas don't seem to be resonating in Annapolis. We took the concerns directly to Senate President Bill Ferguson Monday, where he said he doesn't believe the majority of young kids are committing crimes.
It feels like there's not a lot of urgency happening. Why is the General Assembly not moving quicker to get a handle on this before more people's lives are impacted by this?
Look, I push back to say that there's not urgency. It's something that I'm talking about with other members and my community every single day. It's probably the thing that keeps me up the most at night.
But still, there's been no call from Ferguson for a special session, no legislative change. And the same can be said for House Speaker Adrian Jones.
Should there be a special session to address the juvenile crime crisis right now?
This is something I will be discussing with my chairs. I don't want to be in the media and saying, oh, Speaker didn't talk to us. We're going to be having meetings.
That was last week, and just this past weekend in Towson, a similar answer from Jones, who says while new legislation is under consideration, she doesn't feel there's a need to act before January's session.
We'll be dealing with that when I talk with my judiciary chairman and also, all the other chairmen in terms of what we're going to be dealing with for the 24 session. We got plenty of time for that. There's no rush for that. I'd rather get it right and then just trying to estimate and tell you something. But no, I believe in doing things in decency and in order, and I'm going to stand with that.
And this is not the first time this General Assembly has failed to act.
No more delays, no more far-left woke politics. Pass these bills and get them to my desk so that they can be signed into law immediately, so that they can immediately take effect, and so that we can finally begin to get the violent shooters and killers off the streets.
A series of key crime bills, including the Violent Firearms Offenders Act, were pushed by former Governor Larry Hogan for several years while he was in office. The legislation sought to increase penalties for repeat offenders, specifically gun offenders, but never passed.
They really don't have a plan in place.
Political analyst John Deedy says their words aren't necessarily aligning with their actions.
What the leadership is doing, in many times, is expressing a sense of urgency with rhetoric. The action is going to be, what are they going to do in January? And frankly, right now, I think they are not sure how to deal with this as far as what to do.
He says to truly be ready to tackle the issue in the next session, they must have a plan in place ahead of time. And right now, it doesn't seem they do.
The clock is ticking. By the time the session meets in January, they have to have a plan in place, and a plan that, the governor will definitely get behind. And frankly, I think the governor should be doing more leading on this.
In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Well, House Speaker Adrian Jones and Senate President Bill Ferguson are two of the most powerful lawmakers in Annapolis. If you want to talk with them about juvenile justice laws, we have the phone numbers and email addresses right there on your screen. To reach Speaker Jones, that's the number 3800. For Senate President Ferguson, it is 3600. And that brings us to our question of the day. Do you trust the state legislature to pass laws that protect your safety? So far, 93% of people who voted say no. You can make your voice heard right now at foxbaltimore.com/vote.
Fox 45 is following breaking news out of Harford County. Fox 45 News has confirmed the county's prosecutor will no longer file a lawsuit against County Executive Bob Casserly. It is the latest twist in an alleged wiretapping case. On Monday, Allison Healy threatened a lawsuit against the county executive, saying county officials refused to grant her office access to a critical staff email of a staffer who's out of the office at the moment. The state's attorney claimed Casserly was retaliating against her after she referred spying allegations against Casserly to the Maryland state prosecutor. Well, this week, Casserly denied those claims of retaliation. He called the threat political theatrics. The Harford County State's Attorney's Office now says it will be granted access to that locked account. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has been following the alleged wiretapping allegations against Casserly for months. To see all of her stories, go to our website, foxbaltimore.com. Mary?
Guy, thank you. Well, storms are on the way for this weekend. You can see on the right side of your screen a live look at the beautiful weather right now in Baltimore and Towson. We're going to enjoy it while we can. But on the left, a tropical storm system developing right now off of Florida's eastern coast, threatening to bring some severe storms later this week. Meteorologist Jonathan Myers here now with the very latest on the storm's track. Jonathan?
Yeah, and what we're really tracking is kind of what may be more like a hybrid system, maybe around here more so like a nor'easter type impact, but it's that tropical nature that's having the computer models really in fits, especially due to the fact that, as you can see here, it's not really well organized at this point. Very dry for now, stays nice tomorrow as well as into Friday, but the clouds will begin to increase as this really does, I think, begin to come together more just off the east coast of Florida tomorrow, and then will eventually make the move northbound. The question is, how far north does it move before it kind of arcs off to the east and away? And for now, I'm going to follow this wetter computer model, the GFS computer model, or in other words, it's the American computer model. The European, it's offshore and doesn't give us a whole lot, but there are a few members of this kind of class of computer models saying, yes, we are going to get some rain here, stronger impact, maybe 1 to 3+ inches of rain. Some gusty winds could be 30 miles an hour, maybe even greater over the water, and even the potential of some coastal flooding. And this would last especially Saturday night into Sunday morning. We're breaking down all of the details for you, let you know when this can finally pull out of here and how much you're going to see for your weekend plans in a couple of minutes.
A tough day to be America's Attorney General as Republican lawmakers square off against Merrick Garland, accusing him of playing politics. I'm Scott Thuman in Washington to explain why coming up.
Making headlines tonight, a tense day on Capitol Hill as lawmakers spent hours questioning the Attorney General. The hearing focused on the fairness, or as critics allege, lack of it, by the Justice Department in light of high-profile prosecutions involving Donald Trump and also President Biden's family. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman joins us live with a look at both sides of this. Scott?
Yeah, Mary, good evening. You know, it was a bit of a no-win situation for Merrick Garland as he was limited with what he could or would say, but then also was trying to minimize these attacks against the Justice Department and his leadership specifically.
Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury?
The nation's top law enforcement official, Attorney General Merrick Garland, in a congressional lion's den Wednesday, accused by Republicans of running a two-tiered system of justice.
They see the DOJ, of course, aggressively prosecuting President Biden's chief political rival, Mr. Trump, while at the same time, they see slow walking and special treatment given to the president's son. That's just a fact that everybody can see with their own two eyes.
I am not the president's lawyer. I will add, I am not Congress's prosecutor.
They allege Garland intentionally took so long with Hunter Biden's tax evasion investigation that the statute of limitations ran out, essentially erasing the case. Donald Trump's biggest offenders also going after Jack Smith, Garland's special counsel, and Garland's appointment of David Weiss, who they say has been soft on Hunter Biden.
And he's the one you appointed to pursue the charges that could implicate Joe Biden. That leads me to only two explanations, either corruption or incompetence. So which is it?
Mr. Weiss was the Republican-appointed United States attorney appointed by President Trump.
Do you at least see the obvious double standard?
Democrats mostly defending him.
You are decent. They are not. You are fair. They are not.
The reputation for the Justice Department is on the line when they have these incredible high-profile investigations. The public needs to have confidence that the DOJ is following the law and the facts, that they're not prosecuting somebody for politics.
All of this setting the stage for next Thursday when the House holds its first impeachment inquiry hearing of President Biden, and reports now indicate that Republicans would like to subpoena Hunter Biden as well as the president's brother. Mary?
It is a busy fall on Capitol Hill. And Scott, I understand that even some Democrats weren't totally pleased with Garland either today.
Yeah, there were some complaints and criticisms about the indictment of Hunter Biden, in that they were saying it's rare that someone would be pressed for charges if it was they had a gun and they were using drugs, but didn't then use that gun in the commission of a crime. And so they say that's out of character for a lot of prosecutions. So in other words, Merrick Garland taking heat from all sides today.
All right, Scott Thuman live in D.C. for us with an update. Thank you.
Fox Triplecast this evening showing us a beautiful look at the Mile 1 Taos Cam, Toyota Shooter Harbor Sky Cam, but that changes potentially this weekend as the next weather maker on the map begins to move our way. Take a look down toward Florida. After acres and acres of clear skies, we'll zoom on in here. Lots of rain, lots of thunderstorms here. Why do we care about this? Well, if you remember this past weekend, the weather maker coming in from the south, moving north and northeast. Well, this one could do the same, and this one could be a lot better put together potentially as it does so. Currently, again, it could be a very different look this weekend here on the water. 77 Eastport Yacht Club on our webcam network on the background there. Winds out of the west-northwest at 8. Made it to 80 today. We're now at 77. Humidity of 43%, so it's dry and gorgeous. But here's what we're watching down to the south. For now, fair weather high pressure. That's going to be our fair weather friend rest of today, tonight, tomorrow, as well as into early Friday. Then Friday, the clouds begin to increase as this next potential weather maker, with all the rain and the thunderstorms blossoming over Florida with those colorful cloud tops, has a 40% chance of gaining some tropical characteristics, probably a subtropical system, kind of like a hybrid between a nor'easter and maybe a tropical system. Nonetheless, starts getting its act together, I think, during the day tomorrow off the Florida-Georgia coast. And we really have to wait till then for the computer models to get a good hold on this. GFS computer model, that's on the left, saying this thing's going to be coming right toward us and pretty well put together, wind and rain. European computer model, again, without that center there, having a hard time kind of figuring out exactly where this goes, says south and east, and we're mainly dry over the weekend. But most of the computer model trends are aside from that European computer model saying that we are going to get at least something. So we're going to go with the GFS here. Take a look at this. Is the American computer model saying, yeah, some good rain coming through Friday night into Saturday. And how about Sunday, too? Even some showers and wind could tally up anywhere up to an inch, maybe 2-3 inches of rain. And there is a marginal risk of some potential excessive rainfall, meaning some flooding, too, by then. Also, a 70% chance tropical development moving off the west coast of Africa. And then there's Nigel, which looks like it goes out towards the fish in the central Atlantic. Tomorrow, sunshine starts in the cool 50s, ends near 80 degrees. I'm going to let you know how long we could have some potential rain effects over the weekend into next week in my exclusive 10-day forecast.
Jonathan, thank you. A major cyber attack at MGM casinos and hotels now affecting the company's payroll. The allegations being made from an employee at its Maryland location. As casino and hotel giant MGM Resorts continues to work through a major cyber attack, one worker at the casino's National Harbor location in Maryland is speaking out. They say the attack has affected the company's payroll system. Christian Flores from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. has the story.
They never really had to make an announcement like that.
This sign at MGM National Harbor, which says a recent cyber attack is affecting their payroll system, is sending some employees into a panic about their paychecks.
Just seeing an old school sign in the middle of a lobby did not give me any confidence.
This employee, who asked to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation from MGM, tells 7 News on Your Side he's already owed bonus pay. Now he's worried he still won't see that money when his first paycheck after the cyber attack is expected this Friday.
You want to